Lopez de Santillana married twice, both times to wealthy young women. At neither wedding ceremony did he appear. 50-year-old Santillana married 16-year-old Maria de las Dolores de Tosto. They had no children. Hashtag on that grind. This is history. Get it? History. Story. Yeah. Santa Anna was born February 21st,
1794,
and was just kind of like existing. He was a middle-class merchant in Veracruz, and only in 1810 would he decide to join the military. He had joined as a military cadet under Joaquin de Arredondo. Fucking Joaquin over here. A pretty uneventful job for a pretty uneventful person, really. I mean, he was just kind of chilling in the military because New Spain was under the Spanish Empire. They weren't doing a whole lot except for okay, anyways, let's get back to normal business here. Yeah, Napoleon had conquered Spain, cutting off all the colonies from the head of the snake, sending them into a free fall. New Spain would declare their loyalty to the Spanish monarchy though, so we got that going for them. And they're just gonna wait for their return. For 2 years, this went without a fuss, until some insurgents took up arms against the loyal government, and Santa Anna's commanding officer, Arredondo, a loyalist like himself, was a guy who just got the job done. Their job was to protect the frontiers from insurgents and the natives who just kind of did whatever they want. Santa Anna in a battle would actually get an injury around this time. Bad roll, dude took an arrow to the hand. Now we gotta talk about the elephant in the room here. Arredondo's methods were kinda mean. He would torture and execute captured prisoners. He would round up the families of insurgents and have them executed. Santa Anna was taking notes though. But New Spain, they were winning, they were beating everyone, and it was going pretty good. Things would soon change though once the Spanish monarchy was restored. The new Spanish monarchy was too weak and was forced to sign a liberal constitution, angering the very conservative colonial government who felt that Spain was becoming far too liberal. Santa Anna would change teams and join his friend Agustin de Iturbide in rebellion to the monarchy by capturing Veracruz. When Spain finally negotiated the independence of Mexico, Santa Anna's strategic team change would grant him the title of Brigadier General and also commander the port of Veracruz. This only goes to show that sometimes to make money, you gotta break the law. I mean, come on, Santa Anna did it, and now he's a proven military commander. He's taken notes so that it might be on illegal stuff, but he's a rising star. The new conservative government was trying to convince a European monarch to come over and rule them, preferably a Bourbon, but they invited all these people and no one came, and they asked and all, just no one trusted the stability of this new nation. Emo Mexico. No, don't worry though, my man Iturbide here, he's got a plan to fix all this. Hear him out. Hear him out? He will be Emperor of Mexico. I mean, come on, look at this LARPy artwork he had, bro. Like, he had Hercules crowning him as Emperor of Mexico. He was born for this, alright? Santa Anna was fine with all this, though, don't worry, because he was granted the command of Veracruz, but Iturbide got a little bit paranoid and did take backsies. This enraged Santa Anna, who decided to revolt against the Empire. This new revolt would aim to restore the Congress that the Emperor kinda got rid of when, you know, he became an emperor. Other military leaders would follow, overshadowing Santa Anna, forcing him to act if he wanted to get some prestige. Santa Anna would become more bold and start going on the offensive, winning battles all the way to Mexico City. Iturbide was running low on funds to actually pay his armies, so a lot of them, they just defected to the Republican army led by Santa Anna. It didn't really help that Iturbide was just kind of chilling in the capital instead of, you know, leading his troops on the battlefield. Not really a main character thing to do, honestly. Seeing the writing on the wall, he decided to type GG in the chat and he rage quit, thus concluding the First Mexican Empire from 1822 to 1823. Good game. A lot of Central American states would break free in the chaos and instability following the overthrow of the government. Really, just GG's in the chat all around. But hey, don't worry. They sent Santa Anna to the Yucatan Peninsula and he was gonna liberate Cuba, a recurring theme throughout history, I know. Yeah, the thinking was that Spain wouldn't care, but apparently they did care and they sent troops to the island, so the invasion was called off. Go home, everyone. Yeah, after all that, Santa Anna, he would retire from his military service and go into civilian life as the governor of his home region of Veracruz to pursue his real passion in life. He got really into cockfighting. Yeah, Santa Anna was a big fan of cockfighting. competing with cocks all over the world. Not really that big of a detail, it's not really important either. I just wanted to say cockfighting. He raised cocks for money. Yeah, he also got married, and that's cool. But his love for cockfighting, it always come first. This life would not last though, because Mexico would have some divisive elections weakening the state, and dare I say it, the economy fools. Santa Anna, he might have added to the instability by, openly challenging elections he didn't agree with, but that was in the past. Because Spain had decided to try and reconquista Mexico. This was a disaster though for Spain because they didn't know that Santa Anna had plot armor. Yeah, he led an army crushing the Spanish invasion force. To solidify his newfound prestige, he started to call himself, and I quote, the Napoleon of the West. Okay. I mean, no one's gonna call him a LARPer after all the, accomplishments he's achieved here. Well, actually, there was one guy. The then president at the time, Bustamante. Busta. I like that name. I like it. He called out Santa Anna and he sent an army to go, crush him because he was fearing he was gaining too much regional power. But they didn't call he didn't call himself Napoleon of the West for nothing. Santa Anna beat the government forces and he marched into Mexico City declaring that new elections, they're gonna take place. In this new election, Santa Anna would run as a liberal in 1833, but he did all this for the sake of it. I mean, in reality, he was a member of the Autocratic Centralist Society, and he openly said this. He didn't really care for politics that much either, to BH, because it kind of bored him, alright? He just wanted to cockfight, for God's sake. He'd win the election, becoming the new president of Mexico, though he really didn't care about it that much. He didn't really want to govern either. In reality, he just wanted the cool title. So he left his vice president, Dr. Valentine Gomez Farias, in executive power and went to his Veracruz hacienda. He was doing this little-known strategy called comfy maxing. His short vacation would not last long because Gomez started passing laws that were so radical, in fact, that the people forced Santa Anna to coup his own vice president and actually do his job. I shit you not, he couped his own vice president. I just want to sit here for a moment to think about that. Upon taking control of his government again, he'd pivot to centralization, dissolve Congress, and write a new constitution with the end goal of giving power to the central government, instead of the federalized states, causing many of these states to rise up in rebellion against the government. Now Santa Anna would act just as his mentor had taught him all those years ago, by carrying out brutal attacks on those who rebelled against him. Before we continue, I guess we gotta go back in time a little bit to about 1820, when Mexico was still part of Spain. You see, New Spain was huge, but no one actually wanted to live in a majority of it. The problem was so bad that land was 4 cents an acre. Many Americans would be allowed to settle in the area and battle the ancient enemy of New Spain, the Comanche, who just kind of do whatever they feel like. They even got drip. When Mexico broke free, they tolerated the American settlers mainly because they held back the Comanche from raiding the Mexican heartland. But over time, they would form their own distinct culture that would cause problems later on. For the harsh treatment of his enemies, different cultural ties, distance from support, and economic concerns, and he was just straight up killing people indiscriminately. The Republic of Texas, the Republic of Rio Grande, and the Republic of Yucatan, they revolted. Now, the Mexican government have given the Texans a cannon to fight natives in the past, and now, for reasons, they kind of wanted the cannon back. I mean, the Texans weren't really loyal, so you can't really blame them for wanting the cannon back. The Texans were mad about the centralization of the government, so they didn't give the cannon back. In fact, they shot at the Mexicans. Then this guy named Austin, not the city, the guy named Austin, he got his friends together and they took over San Antonio. Santa Anna viewed the Texans as pirates and sought to completely wipe them from his map. He marched his troops to the Alamo demanding their surrender and the return of the cannon. The Texans responded with the troll face, so Santa Anna quoted the famous historian Marty Robbins, who said, "I will show them no quarter and everyone will be put to the sword!" Exclamation mark. And yeah, he killed them. He killed all the people, except the children, women, and slaves. Everyone else died. And then 400 prisoners were executed at Goliad. Man, Santa Anna was having a PR nightmare, to say the least here. Santa Anna's success would come crumbling down when he was forced to honor his men's God-given right to their hour-long siesta. Unfortunately for him, the Texans knew about their God-given right, and the Battle of San Jacinto would begin, and the Mexicans were asleep. Santa Anna was boinking his goma, so when Sam Houston, not the city, the man, decided to attack, 9 Texans died. Sam Houston captured Santa Anna. 630 Mexicans were killed, and then 730 were captured, according to Sam Houston. The man, not the city. As a prisoner, he signed the Treaty of Velasco. Alright, I looked it up. It's Velasco. Yeah. This is the first time I got trumped on a word here. It was a public and private treaty in which he honored to guarantee the independence of Texas and would do everything to keep them independent. It sucks though, because while he was in Texas, the Mexican government took this opportunity to declare he was no longer president. Emo Santa Anna. Now he was forced into exile, and he just went to America. In reality though, it was kind of like a forced vacation. He just kind of did what he wanted. He was hanging out. He even met some cool people. My boy Esteban, those are some fine cocks you've raised. Thanks, Mr. President. I raised them myself. I'll be here, my son. You can buy cocks here anytime. Like I said, thank you, Mr. President. But may I ask a favor? Can I have a free ride back to my homeland of Veracruz? You know, as a gift. You know, as a treat. Wind River, your cocks must be shared with the world. I shall grant them passes wherever they are destined to go. And that is so true, my friend. So Andrew Jackson sent Santa Anna back to Mexico, and he was home. But conflict always follows this guy. There was this pastry shop that was damaged in Mexico City during some unrest, and all the Europeans were mad that all their stuff was being destroyed, and France decided they were going to do something about it. Yeah, France started a war for a pastry shop being burnt down. It was the final straw. Santa Anna had to go defend his home. He won, he fought him off, but he lost his leg, and then he turned it into an artifact from CK2. He got enough prestige from his artifact that people demanded that he overthrew the chaotic government, and he became president for the 5th time. Even though they lost the war, Santa Anna kept funneling money to himself while being in debt to France. He got married again because his wife died, and then his country started falling apart. Yucatan revolted, you know, people just got tired of his shenanigans, and he decided, you know, I think I'm gonna leave. Wait, never mind, he got kidnapped by a couple of Native Americans. I mean, this guy. They handed him to the Mexican government, and they exiled him to Cuba, where he would stay for good this time. I mean, oh man, there's another page to the script. Come on, bro. In exile, he grew restless, because without the main character, Mexico was stuck in a filler arc. So he spent his days plotting a way to get back in power. Man, if only there was a convenient way to get back to Mexico. I said, if only there was a convenient way to get back to... So, America invades Mexico, and Santa Anna, the master of charisma, writes a letter to Mexico City asking to be let into the country to use his military experience to help Mexico. Anna also talked to James Polk and entered an agreement with him that he would make peace with America once he rose to power if America helped him get home. He came back to the country and he became supreme commander of the Mexican forces and began to fight the United States. Yeah, he did a lot of fighting, but like, didn't really get anywhere. I don't know, man. I'm like kind of a letdown, honestly. Didn't really help that the Americans had better tech too. They were playing Follow the Samurai. He was playing Napoleon Total War. And then Santa Anna rage quit and went to Jamaica. I know. Surprisingly, he was brought back to Mexico by the Mexican Conservative Party. They convinced him to coup the government, and he did it, and he became a dictator. And then he declared himself, and I quote, "Most Serene Highness." He did this thing called corruption, and he was booted. The liberals kicked him out of power because he was corrupt, and he was only president for about a year. He tried to come back again when the French invaded, but they decided to put a Habsburg on the throne instead of him. Now he was exiled to Staten Island. He tried to come back another time, didn't work out. So Staten Island is where he stayed. He spent his days cockfighting in Staten Island, living the dream. Juarez would eventually overthrow the Habsburg Emperor of Mexico, and he would basically invite all exiles back into the country, but Santa Anna didn't want to come. He was like, I'll wait till that bozo's dead. Well, Juarez did die, and then Santa Anna finally came back. He's like, alright, I guess I'll come back now. And then he died 2 years later of diarrhea. Rip Bozo. Thus concluding his story. Get it? Because it's his story? That was a cool story, Tom Cruise. I'm really happy you told me the entire history of Santa Anna in one sitting. Yeah, anytime.